Planned Parenthood is preparing to spend millions during the 2020 campaign season. Wednesday, the reproductive rights group announced its plans to spend at least $45 million ahead of the 2020 election.
This comes as abortion bans and restrictions continue to pop up across the Midwest and the South. So here to break it all down is CBS News reporter Kate Smith. All right, thank you for joining us, Kate. Traditionally, or over the many years, what has Planned Parenthood's role in politics typically been?
So that's so interesting because Planned Parenthood is something of a misunderstood organization, right? So they have multiple arms, and one arm is their clinics, then their medicine, and then another arm is advocacy for reproductive rights. And we posed this question to Alexis McGill-Johnson, their interim president, and here's what she had to say about that. One thing about Dr. Wen's departure from Planned Parenthood has gotten a lot of people wondering, what is Planned Parenthood? Where are they? Are they a political organization, or are they a network of healthcare? And what is your answer to that?
Well, I think that, first of all, I have a great deal of respect for Dr. Wen. I think that the media has misread a little bit of her, of the statement that she put out about philosophical differences, because the truth is it's a false choice. We are primarily a healthcare provider. We provide access to sexual and reproductive health, in some cases primary care, to everyone. And the idea that we can provide that access depends on our ability to keep our health centers open. So we hold, the politics in a way to help us kind of provide the health care. But what I would suggest is that, we're not political by nature, but we've been politicized. And that fight has actually been our focus to ensure that our health centers stay open.
So to Dr. Alexis McGill-Johnson's point, the way they view it is that abortion is a part of reproductive health. And you can't take that out of reproductive health and still consider yourself a full spectrum of health for women, for your clinics. So the way they see it is if one of those pieces is under attack, they have to be out there defending it and defending women's rights to have that procedure.
So that $45 million that they plan on spending ahead of 2020, what's it going towards?
It's going towards a whole bunch of different things. So it's going to be going towards television ads, radio ads, canvassing, all sorts of different things. And again, they are looking to flip the Senate. They're looking to remove these senators that have been, vocal advocates of anti-abortion restrictions, both on a state and a federal level. These state level things can become very problematic if they've reached the Supreme Court, which is, of course, a presidential issue. And then, of course, there are things going on a federal level. So you've seen the so-called Born Alive Act. Even on a state level, they are even entertaining a so-called heartbeat ban. So it's really important for Planned Parenthood to kind of identify those, politicians and try to flip those seats.
And is that why they're focusing on those 9 states that we saw pop up there?
That's exactly right. And so they're focusing on those. And I should also mention that this is a record high number of money that they have ever spent on a campaign cycle. In 2018, they spent about $30 million, and at the time, that was their record high. So today, yesterday's $45 million announcement is a big leap from that.
So where does the money come from?
That's an interesting question. So it's completely separate from the clinic. So Planned Parenthood, organizationally, are completely separate entities. This is a political action fund. It comes from donations, and just like any other lobbying group.
So they're also endorsing 89 candidates in 2020 for House and Senate races.
That's exactly right. This morning they announced 89 different candidates that they'll be endorsing. And again, this is the largest number of candidates they've ever endorsed at a single moment. And again, it speaks to both where Planned Parenthood is right now. They are in a position where they are forced to defend a woman's access to an abortion. And then secondly, how high those stakes are right now. We have a Supreme Court case right now going on with the Louisiana admitting privileges that we could see a decision in June. We have all of these abortion bans going on a state level. So there really hasn't been a more critical time for abortion access since Roe v. Wade.
As you know, the Supreme Court is hearing a case related to abortion access. This will be the first time Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh will be sitting in on that. What is the case and just what is expected, I guess?
Yeah, so the case is all about admitting privileges. It's basically what that means is a doctor that is performing an abortion, should they have admitting privileges to a hospital nearby in case something goes wrong? Now, on its face, that seems perfectly fine, right? It seems like a way to ensure safe practices. But the problem is that hospitals aren't compelled to give them admitting privileges. So even though the law requires that they get them, there's no law that requires a hospital ever have to be complicit with any of these abortion providers. And in a lot of these areas, like Louisiana, there's so many Catholic hospitals, so many Christian hospitals. So you have a lot of people who have just ideological differences. Now, separate from that, it's also a business problem. So I spoke to one clinic down in Louisiana, the Hope Clinic. They perform about 3,000 abortions a year. They've been doing this for 20 years. They've only had 4 hospitalizations in 20 years. So let's say the hospital is fully supportive of abortion rights. Well, there's no business, proposal for them where they would have admitting privileges for something that happens on average once every 5 years. That's not a very good business structure for them.
Right.
So both from an ideological and a business perspective, this doesn't really make sense. But what it does do is it really shuts down clinic access in these areas. So I was talking to the lead attorney for this case. They told me that if the Supreme Court upholds this law, Louisiana would go down to 1 clinic. Nationwide, there could be states that have no clinics left because they have dormant admitting privilege laws on the books already. So this could have truly devastating impacts for abortion access all across the United States.
Interesting stuff, Kate. Thank you very much.
Kate.